About 5 years ago, I made a video to explain how if your settings are wrong with your CNC router or laser, your text and images can end up backwards, upside down, or both. After seeing the comments that video received, I believe about half the people who watched the video understood what I was talking about, and the other half had no clue. So I've decided to make another video to explain it better and try to have a more detailed explanation. First off, let me explain what I mean when I say your settings must be correct. I'm talking about the settings in your control software, such as Mach 3, Mach 4, UC-CNC, Masso, or one of the G-code sender programs if your machine is Gerbil based. There are settings in your control software program that tell each axis to move in a certain direction. For example, there's a setting that tells the x-axis to move to the right or in the x-positive direction and to the left for the x-negative direction. If you purchased a machine and controller that is already configured, it's already set up for you. But if you are building your own DIY machine or building a CNC from a kit, you may have to set up the configuration settings and create a machine profile for your specific machine. For today's video, I'm going to be using a CNC router that I designed and built nearly 20 years ago. It is controlled using the Mach 3 CNC control software. I'm going to engrave some simple text in the upper right corner of this blank using the correct directional settings. As you can see, when using the correct settings, the text is engraved without any issues. It's not upside down or backwards. Now for the next example, I'm going into my Mach 3 settings and changing the direction for my x-axis. You can see here that it currently has a red X in the direction column, so I will change it to a green check mark, and that will make the x-axis run in the opposite direction. As you can see, by having the x-axis direction setting incorrect, the text is engraved backwards. I'm using text for this example, but the same would be true for an image. It would appear as a flipped or mirrored image. Next, I'll go back to my configuration, ports, and pin settings and change the x-axis back to make it correct, and then change both the y-axis and the a-axis from a green check mark to a red X to make the y-axis run in reverse. I have to change the a-axis because I have two motors moving the y-axis. One is configured as A and the other is configured as Y, and they move together to move the y-axis. Now with the y-axis running in reverse of what it should be, you can see the engraved text is upside down or flipped compared to the first example above it. Now for the final example, I'm going to leave the y-axis running in reverse of what it should be and go back into the Mach 3 settings and change the x-axis back to the incorrect setting like I had in the second example. And you can see what results you get when both the x and the y-axis are running in the wrong direction. Okay, so as we look at all four examples, you see that the first example on the upper left was ran with all the directional settings correct and the engraved text came out perfectly. In the second example on the upper right, you can see that the text is right side up, but it is backwards as you try to read it. That is the result you get when the x-axis direction is reversed from what it should be. Looking at the example on the lower left, you see that the text is flipped or upside down compared to the example above it. That is the result you get when your y-axis directional setting is reversed from what it should be. And finally, the example on the lower right shows the results you get when both your X and Y axis directional settings are reversed from what they should be. The text is upside down or flipped, and it's also backwards. Here is a photo of my VCAR Pro CAD/CAM software. Notice that the simulation looks fine, but the result at your machine will still be wrong if your directional settings are not correct. Likewise, the display on your control software will also look fine, but will run incorrectly with the wrong directional settings. If your machine is set up correctly, the X axis will move to the right when pushing the right arrow button on your keyboard, and left when pushing the left arrow button. The up arrow button will move the Y axis to the back of the machine. And the down arrow button will bring the Y axis to the front of the machine. The same holds true when setting up a diode or CO2 laser. When adding the machine to your laser control software like Laser Gerbil or Lightburn, you have to tell it where the machine's homing position is. This diode laser homes to the front left, but if I told the software that it homes to the back right, all my text and images would be upside down and backwards. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you still have any questions about directional settings, I would invite you to watch my CNC Q&A podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. You can ask your questions in the live chat, and I can demonstrate right on the fly. Until the next one, thank you very much for watching.